All right, what's up, everybody? Matt Flynn, aka the Fat Golfer. A little under the weather today, but wanted to continue on the What's in the Bag series. At least able to do that from my chair, and then eventually go back to bed. So we covered the top of the bag on the last one. This next one will be a little more intense, and the reason being, everybody likes to go get fit for the driver. Everybody, chicks dig the long ball, so to speak. Like everybody wants to hit the ball farther. That's awesome. So most custom fittings typically are with the driver, and I'm a big believer that is wrong. Some fitters that I've seen on YouTube want to talk about, the importance of putter fitting and this, that, and the other. I'm not a big on putter fittings just because it is still a feel thing. And your delivery may change from day to day, week to week, and it's such a small area of differentiation. And your greens may change. Maybe they come that day, maybe they didn't come the next day. So well, typically I play quicker greens, so you get a different loft, and then they don't moan for a week or two because of dry spells, and then so there's a lot of different things that go with that. And we'll get into that when we get to the bottom of the bag. But your irons, your turf conditions change from thick rough, semi rough, different types of fairways, whether it's Bermuda or zoysia grass. We have a course just south of here that I grew up playing on after the redesign at Burnside Island. It's zoysia grass, so it's way different playing from that because of the way that the ball sits. You have way different launch conditions, this, that, and the other. So I truly believe that getting fit for irons is paramount. Now, I say that because I didn't get fit for my irons. And a lot of that is years of study, years of paying attention to specific misses that I have or delivery conditions that I have. And of course, my ever changing body due to um, my autoimmune disorder. So there are certain things that when I was going through to get new irons this year, I really took into effect, and we'll go into those a little bit deeper dive. So again, I'm going through to explain why I chose what I chose, why I play what I play. It will not carry over necessarily to everybody because everybody's different body types, different swing types, different transitions, what they like the feel of, what they like the look of, way different. And again, why it's so important. The purpose of this video isn't to be like, hey, look, I've got this in the bag. Okay, well, that's good. But it's the thought process that goes into it. Because since changing my irons up, I've not seen a drastic improvement necessarily on my greens regulation. My proximity has gotten better, but mainly my ball striking has improved vastly. I have more command over the golf ball than I've had probably ever. And a lot of that has to do with the assuredness that I have that I know certain misses aren't in play, or that when I do have a specific miss, and again, going into this in a little bit, that I know I can trust where it's going to go or what the performance is going to be. So I'm swinging freer at the ball. Now around here, of course, living here in Richmond, Kentucky, but I go down. I'm from west of Somerset, outside of Nancy. I have always played courses with really, really small greens. So when I go to a course like say up in Lakeland at Kearney Hills, and they have massive greens, yeah, my greens and regulation percentage will all automatically improve. But it has nothing to do so much with those numbers. It's how are you seeing? Are you able to hit consistent distances? Is your distance management good? And that's what matters when it comes to irons. We'll go into that a little bit more again, ball in the bag, because again, playing these shorter courses, I'm hitting a lot more wedges than I do a lot of these irons. But we're going to get into that. So the very first thing that I did this year that I wasn't sure if I ever would is comboing my irons. And we'll go into that too. But I tested my first set of combo irons. It would probably be 2005, 2006, something like that. They had a club testing session up here at a golf course near Richmond, and I was living here. And Nike had their combo irons. And so you have cavity and more forgiving in the longer irons, and then you more blade style in the shorter irons. And I loved them, but I was always a traditionalist. Remember, I have played golf now for 34 years. So my very first adult set of irons were Wilson staff blades, and my dad had traded in a bunch of putters that he'd had to get me this set of clubs, and I played them for years. My next set of irons were TaylorMade burner irons, so a cavity back, a little stronger lofted, a little more forgiving, and I picked up a ton of distance with those. And then as I continued, growing in the game and growing in general, and was able to buy my first set. My first set of irons that I ever purchased were Cleveland irons. They were blade irons, and so I've always been kind of a traditionalist. And I was playing the Titleist 718 CBs for a couple years, and because of again of body changes and this, that, and the other swing changes, um, certain misses that I'm pretty consistent on were not performing whatsoever. And it was getting frustrating, especially considering the fact I played the same set all the way down from four to pitch and wedge. I've always used a set pitch and wedge. I've never gone with a specialty pitch and wedge, and there's reasons for that. And again, we can go into that. But so this year, I thought, you know what? I don't get to practice the way that I want to. My neck doesn't allow it. My lower back, just from regular arthritis, doesn't allow it. So I can't put in the time beating balls like I used to 20 years ago. I just can't do it. Working on strengthening everything, but even then, like I'll never be able to get out and work and do range work like I used to. So I wanted to make it as simple as possible. I love that 3 iron. Talked about that in a specific other video. It's a hollow cavity iron that I just absolutely love. I can miss it all over the face. Typically, my miss is high toe. So when I hit it on that one, it still goes. And I wanted that through my bag. So the question was, where was I going to stop the split? I wanted to get something. And again, being kind of a traditionalist, I want to see a pretty thin iron. So I went, and I'll go into specs here in a little bit. So I went with the TaylorMade P770 irons from 5 through 7. And then the split off is at the 8. So these are the P770 irons. They are a hollow cavity iron, but and trying to change this again. One thing about my channel, there's not that I don't have a lot of editing or any of that stuff, so they're still really thin up top, kind of rounded so it looks even thinner at address, and absolutely love the look of them. Blade length is a little bigger than what I'm used to, but absolutely love the look of these irons. So again, the cutoff was at the 8. So 8, 9, and pitch and wedge are the P7 NCs. This is typically the irons I was playing before. So this kind of a little bit of cavity for a little bit more forgiveness. Um, but the key piece with that little shorter blade length, and I want consistency. I don't really work the ball anymore due to different hand injuries over the years. I can't. There's certain shots that I can't hit anymore, and I wish I could, but I can't. But at the same time, I don't want specific flyers out of rough. I don't want anything to be absolutely insane. So the cutoff is a little funky because my 777 iron typically. Oh, by the way, and if you see these Arcos things on there, I will try to do a video on those. I'm having issues, or I was having issues getting those to pair. So we'll get in that a little bit. But anyway, back to this. You gotta love ADD, right? All right, so the 770, I can comfortably, when I flush it, I can carry it 170. That's been proven on the course, not on a launch monitor. It's, hey, I've got this to the flag, this is what I hit it. And then my 8 iron, again, when flushed, about 155. So there's a 15-yard difference in there. One thing that I have grew up doing though is being able to challenge myself so I can take off yardage here, there, and everywhere. So if I have a club that goes 170, like the 7 iron, I can typically dip it down 5 yard increments just by feel. And again, that's going to be, I want to post a video kind of on what I'm doing with that to help out other people, but kind of hard to explain just off top. So, and so, a little bit of a gap there. This can be kind of a hollow iron. They are the hollow irons, so they can get a little jumpy at times. But if I'm 180, 190 away, I'm not worried if it jumps an extra 4 or 5 yards. Like I'm not. Like I want to get it online where I want it to. Now I will again in future series kind of go get cross course management. I mean, I don't want to put myself in a really tough spot, but I'm not super concerned. It's the 8 iron down where I am. Okay, if I'm 150 and in, I need to trust that yardage. I don't need it to go 160 all of a sudden. So about the max on this is about 150. I don't swing all out at my irons. I don't, like I said, I don't typically shape them. Every now and then I will go with a little low draw or something with them. I can take. It's easier for me to take distance off of these. So if I've got 140, but I need to fly it lower, this is so much easier. So absolutely love this. Now, well, let's go into, again, golf shaft is just a timing thing. It doesn't give you distance. It doesn't do this, that, and the other. It's how does it help you deliver your club in a consistent path? And a lot of that is how you time it up. So it has nothing to do. I'm not going to get any extra distance necessarily off of my golf shaft. So I did go with the NS Pro Modus 3, the 120 with X Flex. These irons, typically a little stiffer in the tip, which I enjoy, but I did take off, I did soft step these. So there's so many videos online about that. I'm not going to get into the weeds on that. I don't feel very good to go that far into this, but soft stepping an iron does give me a little bit more feel at the end of the club. And I do enjoy that because I need to know where this club head is going. And I just feel like that, again, that's a feel thing. It's hard to explain. So these are soft steps. Now, the most important piece of this, and by the way, I go with that NS Pro Modus from the 5 down. I do carry a 4 iron. I didn't really get into that. But this one actually blends with the 3 iron that I have. So it's the 770. So it is a little more forgiving. So it matches the other blades. But I did go with the exact same shaft that's in my 3 iron. This is the KBS Tour C Taper Light X Flex. It is soft stepped, but it is the half an inch lower, and it is about a half a degree or a degree weaker to help with the blending of it. So that one is a little bit of an outlier. I'm still working through that one. I do enjoy that club. It's still not like that 3 iron. That 3 iron will never leave my bag. But so let's dig into the weeds a little bit on this. One of the most important things with irons. So over the years, I have really paid attention to what my typical miss is. The one miss that has absolutely haunted me on every good round that I've had going is this strong left pull that goes a million miles farther than what I want to do. And I'm obviously exaggerating on a million miles. But whenever it goes 20 yards farther and it starts left and it draws and it absolutely winds up in jail, and there I am having to work through the short game piece of it. I absolutely hate that miss. So studied on that miss for quite some time. And while that's technique, So it's not the club. Club's not a magic wand. It's not like I can just hold it there and it does it. So it's still me, but I'd always play standard length irons. I could usually manipulate it to deliver the club pretty square. I've been on a loft lie board before, or on a lie board before, and oh no, it looks like you're delivering just fine. Well, I am, except in certain times. And that is one thing that I've worked through with technique and this that, and the other. Now, when I was 17 and I got those aforementioned TaylorMade irons, I could hit that pitching wedge 160 yards. I could absolutely just nail it. The problem is it'd start left and draw, and yeah, I hit it that far, but what good did that do me because I wasn't anywhere near the green. So what the functionality of that is as the club would be delivered, because the lie of the club would be too upright, so the club would be delivered this way. So as it would dig in the heel, it would flip that toe just enough to where it would turn the loft down and turn it inward. So what happened was, even though I was hitting a pitching wedge, I was really hitting like an 8 or 9 iron, and my start line would be left. I play a pretty consistent draw with my long clubs. Sometimes I can hit big sweeping hooks. Sometimes, but I don't have the wrist flexion to really kind of try to hold it off or anything like that to hit these fades. If I hit a push fade, it usually is way right because I play for that right to left ball flight. When it comes to my iron zone, I don't, I don't, I play pretty much a straight ball flight. Now, what I did with these is I did get them. So my irons from 5 down are, let's see, I've got my specs up here. So they are a 1/4 inch short and a degree flat. Now for every half inch you go short, that is another half a degree flat. So I'm sorry, I've got it a 1/4 inch short and a half a degree flat. So essentially, got them playing a little bit flatter without really cutting these down. Now that's important because I could keep the lie angle the same and just cut it shorter. Not an issue. The issue is, as I've gotten older, all the years of wear and tear, I even that 1/4 of an inch makes a big, big difference when it comes to standing over the ball, when it comes to hitting shots, um, getting my spine in a particular position. That 1/4 of an inch makes all the difference in the world because I'd had my Tyler CBs cut down a half an inch to match the same lie angle. But it was so much harder, especially on days when I was really stiff starting out, to deliver club. A lot of thin shots and just marginally, just that little tiny bit. And so change that up a little bit. Had these been a little flatter, and then again still a little bit shorter to allow from freer range of motion. That's huge. So if you have a particular miss and you know, hey, I do not want this, there are fitters that will absolutely be able to help get you taken care of with that. Now, if you study it, you know it, you have looked at, you know, 30 years worth of divot patterns, to by all means, you probably know what you need. But when it comes to the guesswork, these get so expensive. I'd go see a fitter just to make sure. As I said, I've been super blessed. I'm a super nerd when it comes to this stuff, and I have absolutely hit the nail on the head when it comes to these irons. I may not see it in greens and regulation percents. Well, that's still me, as I still kind of learn through some of this and learn some of my yardages and learn what they can do. Um, but my start lines are so much more consistent. Now, the one miss that I have with irons, specifically longer irons, I'll get the 770 out, is the high toe. And you can actually see just a little bit. Uh, Probably should clean these a little bit more, but um, typically is that little higher toe, and that's where I needed that little bit of help here, because when it came to bladed irons or very minimal cavity back irons, you lose so much distance. With these irons, I don't, and so when I'm 180 out and I pull my 6 iron, I need to know, or even if I want to knock down a 5 iron, I want to know that if I hit that little bit of a miss, I'm still going to be all right. It's not going to be very far off. Specifically, depending on if it's, pins front, pins back, if there's any trouble up front, I need to be able to trust that. And I have. And a lot of that, again, has been trial and error over the years, but I've absolutely picked out an amazing set of irons that has really drastically improved my ball striking, to say the least. Now, I said at the very beginning or somewhere in there, so I've always played a wedge set. Now, a lot of that has to do with me growing up. You didn't really have the 46, 48, or bendable options, in specialty wedges. But my biggest deal, A, is, the because again, I'm used to it. I know what to expect from it. Um, but I want that extra from my 52 to this pitching wedge is at 47 degrees. So I know that this will go 20 yards longer if I really get into it. But I still have some capability to flight the ball. I want it to flight as low as possible if I'm flighting this wedge. If I'm hitting a shot with this wedge, so max carry with this is about 130, and I don't swing my specialty wedges full, so I don't really try to hit my gap wedge much farther than 110. So there's 20 yards of difference there. But if I want to choke down, or if I want to stall the finish off, whatever I want to do with this, I can do it. I've got 20 yards of leeway there, but at a lower trajectory than what I typically see with my specialty wedges. So again, personal preference. Do what you want to do with them. Um, they are they're an investment, and this is all about enjoying the game of golf, and that's the main purpose of every video that I will put out now. And this does get in the weeds. We are at 22 minutes over my set of irons, so we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, over 7 clubs, 22 minutes. But it's all important stuff. I did also, the 770s are a little stronger in loft. I did have the lofts of those adjusted again to help with gapping. Um, but that's me fitting myself over all these years of what I like to see, of what I know that my body is capable of, and what the miss I wanted to eliminate was. And I've checked off all those boxes with this, and I'm enjoying it so much. Yes, it was a financial investment to say the least, but I am absolutely happy that I made that, because I'm playing better golf. I'm hitting better shots. My scores have stayed about the same, but a lot of that again is other factors too. But I know that when I go play a different golf course, brand new golf course, I know what these irons are going to do. I know how I feel for the day, what irons I need to pick out, and what distances we're looking at. And that is huge to the enjoyment of what we're doing. If you're going out there and you're going to spend $50 on a round of golf, and you're playing a new course, and you've got, maybe get paired up with people you've never met before, or you're out with your buddies and you're playing your money games, you want to have the confidence in, hey, look, I know exactly what this is going to do, and this is perfect for this shot here. That's fantastic. Okay, because again, this channel is not for the PGA pros. This is not unrealistic stuff that I'm explaining here. Again, go to a golf tech or to a club champion, spend an extra $100, get fit, or $150. They run specials all the time online, and get fit and work with a reputable fitter. If you don't feel that they're working for you, then okay, then pay that, move on. You'd be better off doing it 2 or 3 times and then purchasing your financial investment than just accepting the word that they're giving you, getting pushed into maybe a set of irons that you don't like, and then you regret that, and then you're kind of stuck, because I mean, unless you're financially, independently wealthy, not everybody can do that, and that's a key point of this. I'd always bought clubs secondhand through Global Golf. always had great experiences with it. Like I've got my dad to set irons through there, but they need cut down. They are cast irons, not forged irons, so being able to bend them is really not in the card. So I kind of have to cut them down. Sometimes I have to think about his back, about how far I need to cut them down. I need to take about 2 degrees of line angle off, but I'm not going to cut that much off of his irons because again, over time and that wear and tear of bending down and getting in certain positions, if you're used to standing more upright, and my dad is, he'll be 70 in January. That's a lot to ask for. I'm 41, and I know that just that quarter inch difference is huge. So, all right. Well, I just wanted to record this video way under the weather today, but it's kind of it's good to be out of the bed and good to talk golf knowledge. So, again, please like, subscribe, put in comments, any questions on this. I will gladly cover those in another video or answer you directly. This is an important piece of it because, again, right now I'm just setting the um, golly, the foundation of what the channel is going to be. We're going to get into different lessons, again, made for everyday golfers, not necessarily, hey, you got a launch monitor, so let's see if we can knock 300 RPMs of spin off. First of all, that's not going to do anything, but second of all, like, I mean, I don't have access to a $20,000 launch monitor. To be honest with you, I only have access to a $500 one that your cell phone that comes through your cell phone. Like, I don't have that access. So, um, I want to keep it basic because I want everybody to enjoy what they're doing. And specifically when it comes to equipment, you need to be able to purchase things you can trust and that at the very least, if you're trying to break 100 and you're standing over a shot on the 18th hole, you should be able to know, hey, this iron, if I miss it, this is where it's going to go. If I hit it great, it's going to go right on target. Awesome. But, 90% of the time, you're not going to hit it perfect. So, um, just want to keep that in mind. So that is the purpose of this video, that's the purpose of the channel, and honestly, the secondary purpose of the video was to get me out of this daggone bed um, and share my knowledge. So enjoy.